I didn't feel the fall, just the sound, the thud of my body against the floor and the echo of silverware rattling against porcelain. Then, silence. Every eye at the Christmas table was on me, my son's hand still outstretched, his voice still burning in the air. "This seat belongs to my father-in-law. Get out!" I stared up at him, his jaw tight, his wife's smirk tucked behind a napkin. The scent of roasted turkey and betrayal hung thick in the air. I had raised that man, paid for his education, sold my late wife's jewelry to buy his first house, and now I was the uninvited guest at my own family's table. I stood up slowly, brushed off my trousers, and said nothing. The silence said enough. It hadn't always been like this. He used to call me his hero, the man who built something out of nothing, the father who taught him that loyalty is currency. But loyalty, I learned, is cheap when greed is the buyer. When his mother died, I made him partner at my construction firm. He was bright, charming, good with people, and I wanted him to have something solid to stand on. I thought I was giving him a legacy. What I really gave him was a weapon. It started small, discrepancies in invoices, whispered excuses. Then I found out he'd been transferring contracts to his wife's father's company using my name as collateral. Mine. The betrayal wasn't in the theft, it was in how easily he smiled while doing it. I stayed quiet, watched, collected. He thought I was getting old, forgetful. He had no idea how dangerous silence can be. The final proof came on a Thursday night. An email chain, my son and his father-in-law discussing how to phase me out of my own business before the fiscal year closed. They planned to declare me mentally unfit, to push me out legally. They even rehearsed what they'd say to the board. That was when the pain turned to calculation. I deleted nothing. I printed everything. I called my lawyer, a quiet man who owed me his career, and we began. For 3 months, I played the part, the old fool, the fading memory, the doting father desperate for his son's approval. He believed it. They all did. Behind the act, I moved everything. Ownership rights, property titles, accounts. The business was placed under a trust in my late wife's name with me as the executor. Every document was clean, every signature airtight. Then I set the trap. I offered him full operational control, a Christmas gift, I said, with teary eyes and shaking hands. He accepted, of course. Greed always does. That night, he toasted me in front of the family. His wife beamed. His father-in-law clapped me on the shoulder. I smiled back. I knew that by dawn, the world he built on lies would crumble. Christmas night. After the humiliation at dinner, I drove home, poured myself a drink, and made one phone call to my lawyer. At midnight, the legal documents went live. Every asset under his name, the house, the cars, the accounts, had been cross-tied to fraudulent contracts he'd authorized. He was now the legal face of every shady deal he'd arranged. The trust owned everything. I owned the trust, and he owned the consequences. He woke up the next morning to 47 missed calls, from his bank, from the board, from the police. By the time he reached me, his voice was shaking. "Dad, what's happening?" I let the silence hang for a beat. Then I said, calmly, "You told me last night that the seat belonged to your father-in-law, so I gave him yours." He didn't understand at first. Then I heard it, that sharp inhale when realization strikes like a blade. His accounts frozen, his name flagged, his father-in-law under investigation. The empire they built together had collapsed before breakfast. He came to my house later that day, pounding on the door like a desperate child. I watched through the window, didn't move. Eventually, he sank to the steps, head in his hands, the same hands that pushed me to the floor. The investigation tore through both of them. Fraud, embezzlement, forgery, the works. The company was declared solvent under my name within weeks. The board reinstated me as sole director. He tried to call again. Left voicemails, apologies, pleas, excuses. I deleted them all. When he finally sent a letter, I didn't open it. I burned it in the fireplace where his mother used to hang our stockings. Ashes. That's all betrayal deserves. Sometimes I sit at that same Christmas table, alone now. The house is quieter, but peace has a sound of its own. I pour a drink, stare at the empty chair across from me, and wonder when exactly love turned into strategy. But then I remember his words. This seat belongs to my father-in-law. No, son, it never did. It belonged to the man who built it, and now it's mine again. Perfectly, irrevocably mine.